I'm from the South, so it's the war between the states. Sorry, guys.
The war of northern aggression.
There you go. One thing kind of interesting for any of you who model or are thinking about doing anything in northern Georgia, my ancestors had a cannon foundry in Rome, and built cannons for the Confederacy. So
Whoa!
If you're running any loads that go into Chattanooga or Atlanta, you should have a spur that picks up cannons every now and then.
I do actually. I have a spur to Rome.
There you go.
I had been looking for research about Rome for years.
The Noble Cannon Factory. In fact, the cannons are unique. I think there's only 6 that are still in existence, but you can always spot them. There's a feature on them that's different than all the other cannons. So,
is that Noble with an N or a K?
Noble.
Cool. Thank you, Mac. And Tom?
I think after the war they might have made locomotives, but they didn't. I don't think they did that during the war. They just were working on cannons.
And this is in your family?
Yes, my grandmother's last name was Noble, so it's her family. In fact, the town of Anniston, Alabama is named for one of her ancestors. It used to be Annie's town.
Oh. Right.
So Anniston, Alabama and Rome, Georgia are fairly close together.
Right. Wow.
Do you know if there are any records that were survived, passed down or anything?
What kinds of records?
Any written records of diagrams of the mill, of the cannons, anything like that?
I haven't seen any. I have some family records, and at one point I got in touch with somebody who lives in that area that's like a distant cousin. I should try that again and see if he may have something, because he lives in that area. I know there's at least one piece of the machinery that still exists.
Wow.
That's on display in town somewhere. It's been broken up over the years, but there's something left.
Right.
There, but
that
anyway,
would be cool.
Charlie?
Mac, how close are you to where the Nashville and Northwestern line was?
Well, I live about 40 miles north of Nashville, so
okay.
I don't know exactly where that line ran in this area. Like I said, I've only been here a couple of months, so
that'd be a cool line for a. I mean, they connected Nashville to the Tennessee River to give them another way to move supplies and whatnot.
Cool.
I know there was a rail line that ran through Clarksville. I was just learning about this during the war, that it ran from Memphis to Louisville.
I was thinking if you could get more information about that cannon factory and the railroad that ran to it, that would be a great, like starting out point.
Yeah.
You're doing your model railroad and the whole tie into the family history.
I gotta say,
way cool.
Sounds like a clinic to me.
Oh, man.
We'll lock you in for next year, Matt. Give you some time to do your research and build your layout. Hey, Tom, how about you? What's up with you? Where are you at?
How much? My name's Tom Osterdock. I'm out in California in Bakersfield. I've been to most of the Civil War battlefields. I fought at 135th Manassas. I reenacted for 12 years.
What unit?
Pardon?
Which unit were you in?
Oh, well, I was on Louisiana Special Battalion, Weeds Tigers. Did that for most of it. And then I was also part of the 1st U.S. Artillery.
1st U.S. Artillery, cool.
Yeah. And we had some guns that were actually fought at Gone with the Wind, the movie. And yeah.
You had what from Gone with the Wind?
Pardon?
What was that about Gone with the Wind?
Oh, we had our 1st U.S. Artillery had guns that were actually fought at Battle of or Gone with the Wind movie.
Got it. Okay.
The artillery weapon for it anyway.
Are you HO scale, Tom?
Pardon?
You HO scale?
Well, I'm actually in 2.5 inch scale, 1.5 inch scale, O gauge, ON30, which is my primary at the moment. I would like to do Civil War, probably will be HO, because I can't like to find engines for O gauge. O gauge for the heartbeat.
Charlie's got a couple for you.
Pardon?
I think Charlie his screen just went black.
I got into railroading in the 1960s. My dad was an engineer for the Western Pacific. Actually, it was 1950s, but 60 will be close enough. I've been armchairing since for that. I was in HOM 30 for a while, and then I went to OM 30, and a lot of my HO stuff, my brother had that, including my general. I think that's all gone. No, I think they destroyed it and stuff.
Okay.
So I've got quite a few modules for HOM 30, quite a few for OM 30, and I'm designing more for my logging railroad now. And I'm also looking at building a 16 by 20 train room, which will be out and back with storage up above it. So save us some money and solar and all that good garbage.
Cool.
But, like I said, I did Navy for 20 years. My dad retired from the Western Pacific. Whenever I came home on leave, he had me on the trains with him, running between Stockton and Oakland. When my ship came into Hawaii, he would meet the ship and ride the ship from Hawaii to San Diego, and did that several times. I had my brothers too, and my nephew,
Cool.
different times. He made all the trips and stuff. We had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Charlie, we got to say something?
Well, it just slightly sidetracked, no pun intended, but for Tom O, I have a good friend here that passed about 1.5 years ago, and he is into ON 30 logging. And so he's got lots of cars and some wonderful engines. We ought to get together. If you're interested in that, you may just be able to get it for free.
His name?
Well, it's John Turner here in Memphis. But he passed, and really his widow's not been able to do anything with the railroad since then. I mean, the pandemic hadn't helped, but I'm sure she would love to find a good home for it if you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely would be interested in that.
All
If you
right.
can get any information on it, please give me or email me.
Okay.
It's all over on in the group.
Yep. Cool.
So my 1.5" scale is a walking
You want to
gauge.
meet some of the guys?
Not right now.
Okay.
All right.
So let me see. Who else haven't we heard? Walter, for those that might not know you.
Born from Texas is kind of unusual. Yeah, it is and isn't part of the Civil War. And so I like modeling in there. At the moment, I'm building an N gauge. I've never laid track before, so I'm actually have somebody helping me do that. My first love is HO. And so I'm doing most of my stuff in HO for like little dioramas and things like that. So when I do get a layout, I'll have stuff to put on it, a lot of rolling stock and so on. But as far as
It's called Cato Unitrack.
Well, I did have the guy. I said, why didn't you just use Unitrack or something? Because I was using Flex Track and so on. He said, that's really made for bigger layouts. I live in an apartment, so I don't got a lot of room. That's why I'm going ahead with the N gauge first, so I can get it running and have room for it.
Right.
Well, we have
Good.
there's a fellow here that has, we have like an N gauge modular setup, don't we? That can be moved, taken around to the conventions and things.
That's Joel Salmon.
Yep. Yeah, Joel, I think you probably know that Joel would be a good resource for anybody that's doing N scale. How about Roger? Roger, give us a little, like, where do you live and what you're up to?
Well, Bill, I'm down in Sugarland, Richmond, Houston area. So we're a little closer, 2.5 apart, hours there. Railroading all my life. Civil War has been a long-term interest, along with other factors of the Civil War. Right now, the projects that I'm on is I really enjoy, for some mental instability reason, restoring old engines when people say they don't work. It's like, yeah, they will. And I've only missed 2 or 3 that haven't out of the 30 that I have. And I just love it. It's something, it's in the blood. What can you say? And of course, the project that I'd like to go on is Manassas, maybe Thoroughfare Gap or one of those ways. Manassas goes about 3 ways. So that junction and something else.
Got it. Thank you, Roger. Let's see. How about Vince?
Yeah, so I'm Vince. I'm also in California in the Bay Area, San Francisco, San Jose area. And
Go Giants.
Go Giants. Okay, maybe next year. We'll see. Hopefully next year.
Big fan.
Yeah, it's a wonderful area and a nice team too. But originally from the East Coast, and been in model railroading since, probably like a lot of you, since you're Cub Scouts or childhood or whatever, and mostly HO, all HO really. A little bit of Lionel standard gauge back from when I was a child with my father. In fact, we still have that, but we never, all the modelings with HO. And I love the early rail construction period, which obviously includes the Civil War. And I think, like what Roger said, getting old things working again, I think that's actually something I enjoy too, bringing something as best you can back to life. I probably spend more time doing that than me, because you can't really justify it, but it is a little rewarding. And our son just went off to college, and so now I guess you can call us empty nesters. So hopefully we'll have more time to dig into
Train room.
work here. Yeah, there's a lot of space back here that we can start. And I do actually like the Kato Unitrack. That's a fast way of getting
Now, Vince, are you modeling a
I do a lot of
particular
work,
line?
in San Jose.
Are you modeling a particular line, Vince?
To be honest with you, my favorite, that's the construction era, Central Pacific, Sacramento,
Central Pacific,
old Sacramento, that area. Yes. Well, actually, there's a few in the group who talk, it mixes with other groups too, but Central Pacific gets talked about a lot. I mean, maybe if I take a step back, we're very close to Stanford here, and always interested in the Big Four and how they funded the whole effort. And the tie-in, of course, is on the other side in the Pacific with the generals and things. So that's what kind of got me attracted to the Central Pacific, and it's in the area. The Stanford's actually one of the golden spikes is not that far, or his golden spike is at the Stanford Museum, not far from where we live. So it's kind of cool. I was going to say his locomotive but it's in Sacramento now. It's still not that far. But I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I had the other meeting. But what fascinated me was going and seeing the Golden Spike. At the time, it was just a historic site. Now it's a national park, I believe. But seeing the reproduction engines was just amazing. You just used to looking at the little 440s, and I just love the Jupiter. That's my favorite of all. And what else can I say? Oh, also we work a lot in technology here. Obviously, I'm very involved with Bluetooth and NFC and different technologies using phones and things. And I'd like to find a way to build some of that into some of the work that we do in the modeling as well. Because you mentioned animation. There's actually some people out here, completely different time frame, but they actually put NFC tags on the cars, and they roll by, and they can, whatever kind of use case they're doing of tracking or loading the cars or things, HO scale. So it might be interesting at some point to see how we can put some of that technology in as well to bring in some of these old 1960 locomotives, right, current, and then building in some of the new technology as well. So
Cool.
If you decide to go the HO scale route.
well, that's where I go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I'm hooked in that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Look into if you can get one of the brass CP Huntingtons. You'll love it.
Yeah, I do. I have, I think there were two. The key one I have, and I would be afraid to touch that one. That one's so beautiful. But the Akani, I think that's the other one you're thinking of. Those are more the basket case. Well, they are basket cases that you can usually, when you find them, that you can work on.
Yeah.
Got it. Good.
But yeah, the
So-
CP Huntington also, that's, maybe some of you have seen it. That's also up in Sacramento.
Right.
And the other thing, completely different aside, but when people associate San Francisco, maybe they think of cable cars a lot. But you know, there was a period before, and you mentioned the CP Huntington, that actually was, I don't want to say a streetcar, but it was running a commuter, whatever you want to call it back then, a streetcar in San Francisco. So there actually is a whole story about early steam in San Francisco before the cable cars, including the CP Huntington.
Right.
Sorry.
Cool. So I thought, let's see, today's topic is going to be rolling stock. And I'm not sure if all of you got that list of categories. Did anybody not get that list?
I don't remember seeing it. Yeah.
But what I could do is let me put it up real quick, and we can, because what DC and I thought we would do is just get an idea of where your interests are, and go from there. Let me see. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's so many photographs, and the thing that's why there's so many variations on a theme with freight cars and what have you, and loads. It gives us, I mean, when I first got into this, I had no idea as to the license you could have. So, if someone ever challenged you, first of all, most people don't even know about this era. Secondly, you could do anything and it's plausible as long as it's within certain parameters. But when DC and I were talking, we were looking at, some of the larger categories of rolling stock. And we thought, well, let's see where people's interests are at. And then, we could, similar to last time, start a conversation around what you're mostly interested in. So what's available, what scale, how you weigh them, what kind of trucks, maybe the couplers, maybe some people are interested in scratch building or just resourcing some places to get ideas. Colors is always of interest, or maybe it's a combination of the above. So let's see.
I just say, let's just go through them one at a time.
Oh, good. I was hoping.
I was opting for 7, only all of the above.
I love you guys. You make it so easy for us. This is great. Thank you.
So at this point, we've got the next 3 sessions scheduled. At least.
Well,
Right. So if you want to know what's available, DC put a fabulous list together. And you know what? And it sounds like we're kind of in, some of us into all of these different scales. And if you want to know what's available, I mean, here's what I would
show.
Here, you know what? Unfortunately, I don't have that list lined up. But I was just thinking.
I've got one.
You can share it?
I can share it.
All right, let me stop this. And I'll make you a co-share.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, now these are primarily HO scale. And
DC, let me interrupt just 1 second.
Sure.
So if you want to take notes, by all means do that. But two things, this is being recorded. And two, if you want, DC can just send you this document.
Or I can post it.
Both.
Post it.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is a little different than you and I did, Tom. I'm sure most people are familiar with the Bachmann cars that are out there that came with their Union Pacific, Central Pacific, Confederate set, Union set, and other sets that are out there. These are some of the cars that they come with the set. Now, if you look, these are actually 30-foot box cars. If you're just wanting to get started, they're a neat car. They are a bit big for Civil War when you're talking more like 28-foot car lengths. So I know I've done some 30-foot cars and they even look big when I'm running Civil War equipment. But Bachmann's a good way. They're pretty much still readily available. Mantua, those are great standby. Again, these are HO. Mantua is a great standby. Multiple road names. They are taller, wider than your typical 1860s rolling stock, but a good way to get started if you want to get a few cars and some track running. Keep in mind a couple of things. The bobber caboose they make and the drover's caboose are actually after the Civil War. I'm sure all of us have pet peeves, and one of mine is to see a Civil War train with a bobber caboose or a drover's caboose on the end of it. Okay. River Rossi, Tom and I had these together. River Rossi, AHM, and Poacher. Both River Rossi and AHM, a lot of times you'll see the Poacher name underneath their cars. Again, they're very similar to the Bachmann cars, the 34-foot lengths. They made some cool stuff they called horse cars, labeled for the U.S. Military Railroad, the B&O, and the Wells Fargo. They come up on eBay. They also had, there's a red Lehigh Valley cattle car, Union Pacific, and I believe a U.S. Military Railroad. Now, more recently, IHC under the Mahano, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, came out. They are remakes of the kind of the River Rossi Poacher line, but I've done some comparison and the detail's not quite as crisp on what they are producing as some of the stuff that was produced by Poacher. They also came out with some, I know I had to get one of each for U.S. military railroads, but these were cars that actually did not exist during the Civil War. A 34-foot tank car. Hey, it's my railroad, so, bunk car, crane car, blacksmith car. Now I'm thinking about it. I think also under Walthers makes a very similar 34-foot blacksmith car. I think the Walthers is a little finer detailed. Those, as far as I know, are what you might find in ready to run. Either, if you're looking at hobby shops, or if you're going online to be like to eBay, or like through the Walters catalog. If you're looking at N scale, I think Tom and I had micro scale trains. They're pretty much the primary ready to run manufacturer, the only one that I'm aware of. Joel, if you have a question, Joel Salmon, he would know more about that, and pretty much that N scale is micro trains. O scale, Charlie, is there anything ready to run in O scale out there?
Pretty much we're the stepchildren of railroading. There's not a lot right now.
Okay.
The BTS kits, but not ready to run.
Okay. That was the next category, was BTS. If you feel like that, BTS kits are not that hard to put together. They do not come with trucks or couplers, but you can get those rather easily. If you go to btsrailroad.com, btsrr.com, you can see their offerings in O scale and HO scale. And what I've got here is just a list of some of the cars that they have available. I worked with Bill on the 28-foot U.S. Military Railroad arch-roofed house car and the Dictator motor flat car. And they're pretty good kits, pretty good kits. He also offers some building kits that are nice. They are a wood kit, so you need to get some wood or white glue, and maybe some super glue would be good for you. Then there's some other manufacturers that I found that were out there, and that's what I'm going to post this list. Rio Grande Models, they made an outfit car. That's the number of the car. It looked to me like Tom was talking about how, you have a great, there was a lot of experimentation and photography, other than if it came in something that was controlled by the unions, during the Civil War. It probably was not photographed, but there were lots of variations in cars you can find, like in John White's book on the American Railroad passenger car. So they would make a great, I've got one of the kits, maybe two of them, for a way or conductor's car variation in addition to the BTS kit. These are wood kits. Red Ball, now these aren't box cars, but we're talking about, they make four-wheel pole jimmies.
DC, one second. I think Roger's got his hand up. Do you have a question, Roger?
Sure.
Yeah, specifically, I'm sorry, but going back to the Mantua, you say they're a little wider and a little taller. Does that really correlate better with the River Rossi, which is a little wider and taller than the General?
Yes.
And that would be a good match, huh?
Yep. Yes. And you can get, there are, if you're looking for military personnel, you can get 1/72nd scale figures.
Perfect.
Somebody on eBay this morning I saw had some available, some sets.
Perfect. Thank you. That reassurance right there makes me want to march forward right away. So thank you.
Okay. And actually, if you're going with the IHC River Rossi engines, or even if you have one of the brass engines for the like the Jupiter for one of the Centennial sets, or the VNT was also an engine produced in brass. Those are a little larger than the Generals or the Bachmann engines, and they look better with some of these cars rolling behind them too.
Good, because the BTS car looks really small behind the River Rossi, and I was like going, oh God, it'd be nice if I could modify something else that's a better size to match it. So thank you.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. If you're going to go with the Mantua or Bachmann sets, I would look into replacing the wheels.
The wheels, or you mean the trucks specifically?
Well, you could replace the trucks, but I would go with the wheels first. Sometimes the Mantua trucks aren't that bad. Actually, Tom has some Mantua and old River Rossi cars running on his layout, and with some BTS cars kits. And actually, by the time you can do something simple like repaint them, and re-letter them, or you can
You can modify the, I mean, if you wanted to go
Yeah.
into that detail, you can modify it. You can cut them up and add some little details to make it a little bit more prototypical. But to DC's point, you want some really nice metal wheels in all of these, and the trucks are just fine. It just got.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of KDs ready to go for that. So, okay, good.
Yeah, they look great on Tom's layout, and I mean they look fantastic. I don't know what percentage of the of your fleet is actually Mantua cars, but I'd say probably at least 50%, Tom.
Close to that. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And also keep in mind that again, along with the non-standardization, you know, variation. You can see in different photos. They're not all, everything was the exact same dimensions.
Yeah, that was the beauty of it for me, man. I was thinking, Mantua, and then I heard that they're too big. And I'm like, what do you mean too big? And once I just started looking at all the photos, I thought, I'm sorry, Mantua fits within the parameters of what's plausible. So, but to your point, Roger, with a large locomotive, the BTS cars look a little bit too small. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you can live with it, that's where I go to. Can I live with this, or is this like, do I feel anxious about it? So that's the beauty.
Oh, I don't feel that anxious. I own 8 of the BTS. I'm going to be more than happy to have them on my train set. I guess it's the, hey, I want to throw something on there, run it around in the next week or two. Let me do the Mantua.
Yeah. Yep.
You can always take and weather the, did Christine come on yet, Tom?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, well, you can weather the hell out of the Mantua and Bachmann car. I mean, not the Mantua Bachmann. You could weather the hell out of the BTS cars and just say they're an older car.
Yeah.
When smaller cars were run. I mean, I've got literally some Carmelengo and Finaro. They made a 2.5 foot gauge box car. It's like about a 20-foot box car. And I got 4 of them that I've got on trucks from Bachmann's John Bull passenger cars. So they had spoked wheels. And they are just really numbered really low, and they are like some of the early stock that survived on my railroad.
Right.
Excellent.
Let's see what else we got. BTS, just if they're not that hard, and there's lots of trucks and wheels out there. Rio Grande models. Cold jimmies were something that some people might be interested in. Red Ball made a 2 car pack of cold jimmies, and later on that became BC Models bought them, and then I don't know who all is offering them out there now, but Alchem or he used to offer them. That was Bernie's Kempinski's. He ran Alchem Sims Company.
Actually, Alchem is back in business.
Are they still doing HO now?
I don't know though. I know he's back up and running, but I'm not sure if he's focusing on that.
Okay.
So I'm sure a little prod, could be the fuse that needs to get lit.
Yeah, because he also made a really nice 28-foot stock car and Illinois Central Railroad ventilated box car, and they're really nice looking models. I think they're a little more complicated to put together than the BTS kits.
Right.
Okay. And aside, if you're with some of the BTS, I haven't done one of Bernie's yet. I've got some of them to build, but on some of the BTS kits, if you have run into any snags with the constructions, you can talk to Bill over at BTS. Really cool. And also, I'm more than happy to help you if you give contact to me, because sometimes there's little variations the way I put things together than the way Bill has. But I found easier. Another company that made Civil War era cars was Concord Car Works. 28-foot box cars. They're closer in size. They're bigger than the BTS, but slightly smaller than the Mantua cars, and they have an arched roof on them rather than a peaked roof. His were labeled for the Central Railroad in New Jersey. I discovered after I tried putting some together, there were at least 3 different car numbers for the Central Railroad in New Jersey. He also had some available in a brown paint scheme. And he made a 26-foot Pennsylvania Railroad drop bottom gondola. I've only ever seen one of those in my lifetime, which I of course purchased, and it's sitting ready to be assembled someday. If you see something by Silver Crash Car Works on something like in a store or on eBay, they made, I think it was a Central Pacific prototype. It's larger than the BTS kit, but it's a resin kit. Very easy to assemble though. So, and again, I'll post this. Bitter Creek Models, great supplier of trucks. He also makes a 25-foot Central Pacific Railroad boxcar, which I think some of you might find interesting. He offers 4-wheel coal jimmies, which are cool. And when I just ordered 2 of them the other day because I was on his site. He makes, this is a narrow gauge car. Now, one of the things I've done is take some narrow gauge cars and with the right trucks, they look okay for HO scale. But you make a 23-foot Colorado Central. It's one kit. You can make either the box car, or you can put siding on top of that box car to make it into a powder car. So I went, I need a couple of powder cars in my line. So I don't know what they look like. For those of you who, let's say you want a bit of a more of a challenge, you can also get cars with 32, 34, 37-foot length cars and do some adjusting, cutting on them. Now, when I first got into this, interested in Civil War railroads, everybody looking for old-time rolling stock, everybody kept referring me to the Roundhouse MDC kits. Okay. These are 36-foot box cars that are, about 8 foot too long and a couple feet too tall and too wide. When I first got started, I began kit bashing them, and cutting them up. And it's much easier just to do a BTS kit than one of these. I think they even look big if you're running them behind Rivarossi engines. If you want to get an idea of what they look like, I would go, if go onto Yahoo and look up Luke Blackbeard. Now, I'm not kidding. His last name is really Blackbeard, just like the pirate. Okay. And he does a railroad that's set in 1895. It's called the Thoroughfare Gap Railroad. And he's got some of the these longer these cars that he runs, as well as with some of the Mantua stuff. Okay. Roundhouse also makes shorty flat cars. They're kind of cool, except they have steel underframes, which were not Civil War. If you begin to get into wood cars, box cars primarily, there's the old Huff and Puff.
Wow.
They make an open top stock car. That's really cool. Tom has one or two on his layout,
I do?
and I think you do. You may have bought them used, Tom, not be aware of it, but you have one or two on your layout.
Okay.
And they are, they're a real nice kit, but if you open up the box, you'll find it's a box of sticks. So it's not for the faint of heart. Okay. And LaBelle makes a lot of wood kits,
Right.
though nothing specifically for the Civil War modeler. They could be modified once you get some experience. And I've bought a number of their Ohio River and Western Railroad 24-foot box cars. Again, they are low numbers on the roster, and they are a narrow gauge car, but I've gotten some, if you get something like well, I've got some wheel sets from Reeboks that were like 0.95 inches. So they're slightly less than a 1-inch length in the axle. And I've got, you can get some side frames only from Bitter Creek. And so you can make a narrower truck frame that sit under the car, and they actually look pretty good. Company called APAG once made a 24-foot Denver and Rio Grande box car, which was good looking, but it was a lump of resin and was really, really heavy. You know, when we get talking about weighting, it's one of the cars I actually took and drilled out the entire bottom of it. Central Valley also makes 24-foot boxcar resin kit. Union box lot.
Yep.
Union line. Okay. I think I talked about F&C.
Yep.
Shapeways. There's some neat people on Shapeways. If you're doing N scale, look up DMS. You'll have to supply your own trucks. They also, DMS also offers stuff in HO scale, but their drawings look really crude to me. So I've been scared to order anything from them.
Right. DC, quick question for Mr.
Yeah.
Taylor. Charlie, are SMR cars available anywhere, or is that like, you know, needle in a haystack kind of thing?
I haven't been actively looking for any more of the SMR cars. I have some. I've got some Confederate and Union box cars and flat cars. I might be willing to part with a few of them because I've gone mostly to, you know, scratch built or BTS kits.
Right. But SMR is the only one other than maybe Lionel that would have made O scale Civil War cars, right?
Yeah, and you can see some Lionel stuff. I mean, it depends whether you're 2-rail or 3-rail. But I mean that you should be able to modify that.
Okay.
I tell you that it's a shame because you know, Dave Schneider of the SMR, he has some great trucks. He had wonderful standard length freight trucks and short freight trucks, as well as, you know, passenger trucks, you know, for the kits that you build. I'll try to look into that to see what is available as far as trucks for O scale.
Yeah, I'd be curious if he still has his molds and all that stuff. You know, I'm surprised that somebody couldn't pick up his line, if you will, and create something.
Did Bernie ever offer his kits in O scale? Because I know Bernie models O scale.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's Do you remember the other Sebula in the group?
Yeah.
There was a,
Yeah.
okay. He, I think his models were ironwood. Yeah. Or ironwood kits. I don't know if he did HO, but he did O. They're really nice. For a while, he teamed up with Dave Schneider at SMR and offered some finished cars as well as kits. Those are that's about the extent that I know.
I guess it
Oh.
would be, at the very least, it might be a long shot to find them online. Is that guy still making those?
Oh, I actually, I'm just forgetting blanking on his first name, but his wonderful last name, Sebula.
It's a great last name.
Right. Anyway, I bought I think he had two SMR locomotives left that he had purchased. Now I bought one of those. He's keeping one, and he's gone out of O into I think HO, and so he was getting rid of some of his things.
So would it be fair to put Ironwood on this list?
Yeah, I'll look into it to see if he's still active, but there are actually some really nice kits. I probably got a dozen on my railroad. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Now, since you mentioned that, Andy couldn't be with us today, but he shared a video, short video. It was a video or photos of a B&O Camel engine that he was an old produced a long time ago, and he had a string of O-scale coal jimmies behind it. And I don't know who manufactured those, but it's something we should ask Andy, I think.
I'll follow up on that.
Well,
okay.
Excellent. So Dave Schneider commissioned like 3 different camels, and they're in production. They're real close to being released, and he had a falling out with the manufacturer, and so they didn't come out through SMR, but they came through factory direct trains. It used to be called something else, but it's, factory direct trains. And he had these beautiful B&O coal hoppers and, at least 3 different camels. And yeah, I got a couple on my layout, and I can justify that, for the locomotives that were stolen or borrowed in the war made their way a little further south. But
so should that be another name we put on this list? Factory, what was it?
yeah, factory direct trains. But I haven't seen anything recently through them. But that's where the camels came from. Actually, Dave Schneider had commissioned those.
Got it. Anybody have any questions at this point?
Yeah, there was a commemorative set I've seen a while back, but I don't know if they actually ran it, but they made it to look at, and it was like Civil War armored cars. So besides the Dictator, they had some other, it looked like really specialty stuff that was not used that much, but just kind of a neat set. But I always saw it like in a commemorative thing that I don't know if they actually would run on a railroad.
That was, I believe, Hawthorne Village, and there's a lot of them on eBay. I think they're extremely overpriced. So,
okay.
Yeah. I just have a couple more manufacturers here on my list. If you go on Shapeways and just type in Civil War railroads, you can eventually narrow it down. Panamint Models is one shop on there. They make a couple versions of the B&O 10-ton pot hoppers. Use the older version, not the newer version. They make a couple different versions of the coal jimmies. I'd use the one with the wood spring trucks rather than the iron. And the way he produces them, they have they should only use one of the two brake wheels, not both of them. So that requires just sanding off the one little piece of the one brake wheel. If you're really getting into really old stuff, he also makes some B&O flower cars, which would be cool to have around a roundhouse or an engine shop or something. And they were flower cars were the very earliest cars to transport barrels of flour. And he offers the best looking trucks that are out there right now. Okay. I've also come across this about a week ago, Barn Model Productions. They're producing a 27-foot, 10-inch Harlan and Hollingsworth boxcar. And that struck a chord with me because that company's from Wilmington, Delaware, just 20 minutes down the road from me. You can see examples of them in John White's book. The cars consist of two pieces, the body and undercarriage, and the roof. So it's very easy to put together. You'll need to buy yourself some grab irons, brake, and trucks. And then there's a company called the Train Shop, which I just found on eBay. They make 3D printed Pennsylvania Railroad coal jimmies, 2 per kit. And they're actually less expensive right now than the Panamint coal jimmies, but they're not cheap. That's all I have on the list.
That's all?
Well, actually, while you're on Shapeways, I was going to ask you, DC, I found last night actually in my wandering around that I know Bachman has those old time passenger cars that are kind of supposed to be in that era, but I know they're later than that because they come with the bullnose and the duckbill roofs. But I saw that you had pictures of a Shapeways roof to put on there to kind of backdate those cars a little bit. Can you talk to that?
Okay, that was one of the projects. I'm going to stop my share if that's okay.
Yep.
Tom, remind me how I do that.
Just hit stop share. If you run your cursor all the way to the top.
There it is. Stop share. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, that's something I was working with Eric Cox with, and he is actually offering those tops that will fit on a Bachman passenger car. Okay, now he experimented with one for that, and I also have one that he designed for an old AHM Poacher passenger car. But you can get them from Erica's Panamint models on Shapeways.
How do I mean, they look, fit okay from what you've seen?
Oh yeah, the only thing is that what I did is, you know what the clear story is on top?
Mm-hmm.
Inside, a trade-off is the material used is very expensive. So his were hollowed out. What I did was I cut half moon pieces of styrene and stacked them up in each end. Let's see, I'm trying to have to see if I can see myself. I stacked them up in each end. So there's the half moons.
Mm-hmm.
And then to mount the roofs to the cars, I drilled a hole up through the bottom and tapped them for a number 90 screw and just ran a screw up the top. So mine are, rather than glued on, are held on by screws. Did that for a couple of reasons: to ensure that they stuck on good. And I actually I got some clear yellow styrene off of eBay, and I cut that for the window glazing inside the clear story. And my personal experience is I've had windows pop out of cars that I didn't have access to the interiors with. And so if that ever happens, I just can unscrew those
Right.
2 screws and replace it.
Yeah, I know the Bachman one was held in place with screws. I just saw that because I was thinking I was going to try to find a way to scratch build, maybe try to backdate them. And then I found that last night by accident and went bingo.
Now, if you look at the cars I did, the baggage car,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that's a Bachman car or who it was, because what I had was just a shell I got someplace at some train show for some good price, and I didn't know who did what with it. But I actually took files and sandpaper and sanded that bullnose and stuff flat, and then I cut off the ends of the bullnose.
Oh,
And I made my own stuff out of styrene.
okay.
It came out looking pretty
Very
good.
good. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Any questions, guys? We're a little bit past our time, and I want to honor the time that we had here. Or any comments?
Sorry
Can I
it
ask-
took so much time.
Vince?
Man, DC, that was great. A
Oh.
question, how do you rationalize, like you mentioned, oversized? How do you rationalize all that? You just keep separate, or I can understand Mantua, but you mentioned like BTS and some of the more newer kits are smaller, which I assume is more precise, more accurate. But then some of them, the newer ones, are the shapeways more or less the same proportions as the BTS, or if you were to pick one kind of group, what would you suggest? And I know that's a hard question.
Well,
Yeah.
oh gosh, I have to look up whatever the company was again. I can't pronounce their name.
Let me just stop for 1 second. So George just reminded me, are we good to 12:30? Did I make this an hour and a half? Oh,
You,
cool.
you made it to
Yeah.
12:30.
Thank you for the heads up, George. Jesus, if you guys weren't covering me, I don't know where the hell we'd be.
And also for me, it's 9 o'clock, so we have 3 hours. And
Please
so
use
keep
my
going.
Okay. I was going to say the barn cars. I've got 2
Yeah.
ordered. I don't know. I know the Panamint cars are scale. They are scale. So I've got those Coal Jimmies by a few by the old Red Ball kits. You know, people are talking about liking to buy locomotives and fix them up.
Yeah.
Well, my case is buying junkers at train shows and saying, well, that's got possibilities. It's cheap. I don't mind, you know, it's worth the cost and materials. So I got some of those Red Ball pot hoppers, or Coal Jimmies, as well as the Panamint and some from Bernie Kempinski. And they're all about the same size.
Yeah.
So they are pretty much accurate.
And one would assume the BTS is accurate, right? Because you worked on it or you provided input.
Yes,
So
it is. Now, what was I wrote down the name someplace this morning. It was the March 1969 issue of Model Railroader. C.F. Ward Jr. did an article, 6 cars of the 1860s.
yes.
Right.
And it included a U.S. military boxcar, dimensions for that, a U.S. military railroad flat car, a Georgia railroad boxcar. There were 3 more. What were they? I can't. There were 3 other cars there too.
Yes.
And they gave the exact. He gave the exact dimensions there. It's one of those things. I swear I posted it 3 or 4 times, but I can never find a copy in my own personal digital records when I go to find it. So
It's a good thing you posted.
I don't remember where I posted it though. So
Did you say March of 69?
March 1969.
Okay.
DC, other than that, I mean, do you use White's book as a Bible as well?
The
Charlie
answer
had
is yes. This is Jack White's book. It's not the type of book, I can tell you from personal experience, that you want to read if you're trying to read something in bed, because it can bend your glasses if it hits you in the face. But yeah, Jack White, sorry, John White, did it's a good survey of the development of the of freight cars in this case in the US.
One more question. What about on the locomotive side? Obviously I understand the United Centennial set and probably the Reno to a certain extent are oversized. The Balboa is a little smaller, but those are all they probably were designed with the motors you could fit in at the time and things like that, constraints. But how does the size of those compare with the newer Bachmans or anything else? If you wanted to try to be close to the BTS in proportion, you can cheat a little bit when the locomotives are larger than the rolling stock. But when you see two box cars, together from different Mantua and BTS, it just doesn't look right. But is there any kind of rule of thumb or thought about that and how to
the Bachman and Mantua engines are smaller. They're smaller
than the early brass, right?
Yeah.
Are they closer to, in your opinion, to what would be correct with the BTS or with the drawings that you mentioned?
Tom's locos are pretty much variations of the General, the Mantua. The Bachman engines are close in scale, appropriate size for BTS. I've got some that I run with them. They're actually because they're 1869 prototype, so they're a little modern. But you can go on to Shapeways and do a search, and you can find all sorts of like smokestacks and other detail parts to modify them if you want to.
Precision scale too, no?
Yeah.
Precision scale also has, yes.
I like them only because they're metal and it adds more weight, and those little buggers need weight.
On the locomotive side, Vince, I'll tell you, I'm actually in the process of gutting and rebuilding about 4 of those Bachmann 440s.
Ooh.
And I'm going to put together a full presentation of them, step by step, how to take them apart, how to detail them, what to do, what parts, all that stuff. And adding, of course, we have to add Tsunami 2 sound.
Of course.
But what I was going to tell everybody, if you are interested, I had sent this out email to a group, and apparently I guess nobody got it. So I'll bring it up again here since we're talking about locomotives. I was going to save it till the end, but a buddy of mine runs a company called Resourced Rails, where he buys secondhand collections. And he has about 2 or 3 of the Mantua Generals that he's willing to let go for about 20 to 25 bucks a piece.
That's a great price.
So if anybody wants it,
Resourced what?
Resourced Rails. So to email him and buy those, sales@resourcedrails.com.
Got it.
That is a great price.
Yeah, I picked one up I know Tom has seen the picture. I know I picked one up just because it was so cheap. I was like, well, 25 bucks, who cares? But for anybody else, he said he had, I think, 2 or 3 more that so I told him that I was going to mention it to the group.
Thank you.
George, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Of those 4 Bachmans, which one are you going to send me?
Well, I don't know. I can always be bought.
Roger's
I'm
got
looking
his hand up.
forward to your presentation.
Yeah. Roger, you got a question?
Yeah, real quick. The Bachmann is an excellent and relatively easy to modify engine for a straight back. So you can do the Winton, the hop, and all them. Splicing a couple of the upper boilers you know, somebody had it in the club somewhere back there. I think it was John Ott, but I'm not sure. He just took one half. It's a lineup process, but it can be easily done. It's a good, I think he called it faux straight back. They look beautiful.
Wow.
And I'm doing that with the River Rossies as well. So just to
Cool.
mention.
We'll include
you
you in
gotta
that
show us some-
presentation on locomotives, Roger.
Actually, I'd like to, Tom. Let me
Cool.
get one ready.
Great.
And then God knows how long that's going to take. But let me get one ready, and I would be more than happy to. Yes.
I'd love to see that.
Good. Yeah,
I'd love to see it. It would be inspirational.
Well, good. Yeah, I'd be happy to. No problem.
One little nuance with the Generals is for a while they were producing the driver wheels with a longer flange, and then they made a shorter flange. If you have the ones with the longer flange, they run best on code 100.
100.
They will run on code 83, but the challenge is going through the turnouts. For me, that's what I found, and it wouldn't work. But just to keep that in mind when you're looking at them or for them.
The BTS, they were coming out or designing a O-scale engines. Are they still, or is that dead?
I don't think it's dead yet, but Bill had some problems that he had to have surgery with, and he's also spent a lot of time building a separate building to house the business on his property out there in West Virginia. And like many of the manufacturers that I come to really rely upon in my life, you know, all of a sudden they're no longer available simply because the supplier is no longer available. So Bill seems to be doing well. I wish him very well. I don't think the project's dead, but I'm not sure what the motivation is at this point.
What about the engine Bernie's making? I saw that on his post. I haven't heard of it before.
I don't know what's going on with Bernie's.
Okay. So probably HO is where I'm going to have to go then.
Hey, Charlie.
Really not available.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah,
Charlie
what?
Keller.
I'm here.
Could I ask you a big favor? Could you get in touch with Bernie and see what he's doing with that and report back to the group?
For an O-scale locomotive project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
And if
doing
he's
that one
doing
with
anything with
Shipways.
cars.
All right.
I just sent an email to Bill Wade too, just to get an update from him on his O-scale locomotive.
Thank you, Tom.
If you look at Bernie's blog, he's presently working on the leach that
Right.
he's developing. And since he does O-scale, I'm assuming it's O-scale. But yeah, he's working on a whatever, plastic, something like that. I don't know, whatever it is, but it looks fan-freaking-tastic. He's having his headaches, but you know, he's getting there.
Is he talking about offering that no scale, or is it for his
Personal use.
specifically for personal use? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's personal, but don't quote me on that one. By all means, investigate that. It's he's doing the leach, the Fred leach. He's got about 5 pictures up on there.
Right.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. But anyway.
Yeah, the intent on it originally is for him to just do it like he's experimenting and exploring with it for himself. But depending upon what he comes up with, you never know. The next logical step could be that he finds a way to be able to produce it and make it available.
Yeah.
How many of you guys are O-scalers again? Show of hands. Charlie and Mike. Okay.
I'd like to be, but no engines are available. So
Tom,
that's
I
a bad
think
one.
we have to help you not get too wide scoped on your endeavors.
Yeah, you need to focus on Civil War.
Got it. Okay.
I think we may have enough time to quickly cover the next few topics, waiting trucks and couplers. Because like, I'd like to know when the Janny coupler came into play.
Wait, DC, you got that?
I'm gonna look it up.
The Jenny coupler?
Janny.
Janny.
Janny, it was the first, I think it was the first knuckle that actually came into play, because Lincoln pin obviously were widespread during the 1860s, but how quickly after did the Janny show up? I don't remember when it was.
Wow. I don't know.
Because I want to say that it was probably like 1890, 1880.
510 to 518.
I think so. Are
So
any
on
of you
page
planning on,
510 to 518.
what was that, DC?
I'm looking up in Jack White's book here.
Oh. Do you all plan on using knuckle couplers? No? How many of you guys are doing Lincoln pin? 3 of us.
The thing I found online says the 1877 Pennsylvania Railroad was the first to try the knuckle coupler. Adopted the Janny Type D in 1916 as the standard. So it's like 1877 maybe.
Okay.
1873 is the patent date.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Tom, one thing I noticed, you were sending me those pictures, and your front pilot Lincoln pin bar, are you making those or are you getting those somewhere?
Precision scale.
Okay, can you let me know a part number?
Yep. Yep.
Because I haven't found that particular one, but then I was looking at how you did it and realized that's because I've managed to find one pilot and one drawbar, and I've made it work with some excessive filing and drilling, but the way you had it will work great with these Shapeways pilots I found.
Yeah, absolutely.
George, if you're trying to make your own link for your pilots, look into something like Chichi Train, like their 0.25 brass wire. And I'm sure you've got the skill to be able to do it. You take a little anvil and a hammer and you flatten it on one end, and then you reverse it, rotate it 90 degrees and tap it on the other end. And so that one end will fit.
I entertained that idea, and I was thinking that was where I was going to end up having to go, but I hadn't gotten that far yet. But the part of the other reason I wanted to talk about couplers was Lincoln Pin and HO. One of my retail partners that we sell to as Soundtracks, guy in Arizona, Prescott Hobbies. He makes a Lincoln Pin coupler kit that comes with 4 couplers, or 4 pockets, I should say. I think it's 4 pins and 4 links, and he sells it like in a little small package that he makes himself, and you can get them in either smooth finish or a rough finish, and it just fits into a KD number 5 pocket. So like those Bachmann passenger cars or the Bachmann freight cars, they'll fit right in the pocket, the coupler pocket. So if somebody wants to adopt it, and the cool thing I liked about him was that the pins were plated like a goldish plate color, and his pins were metal. So I was gonna say I can run upstairs and grab it real quick and show you, because I ordered about 4 packs of them. So give me a second. I didn't think to grab them beforehand. And then I've got another one. You talk about Lincoln Pin on a locomotive. I want to show you something that I painstakingly built out of styrene real quick, and I'll be right back.
Great. Yeah, with those precision drawbars, you can just take it and bend it 90 degrees so that it will be able to be attached to the beam of the pilot, and so that the link will be flat to slide into the coupler pocket of the car that you're attaching to.
If you need additional pins,
belay pins.
I can't tell you how many I haven't told Tom I've lost on his layout. but
Especially
you
when
can,
when you ran your entire train off the bridge into the river.
well, that was, I was using my pins for that one. Okay, so the truth comes out. Tom's got a photo of that. But if you're using something like this, the same old Alexander couplers that Tom uses, you can get from model shipways, not shapeways, shipways, you can get 1/4 inch, I believe they are, belaying pins.
Yep.
If you use the Grant Line / San Juan models couplers, you use a 3/16 inch belaying pin. And they're not cheap. It's like $44 for, but you get 150 of them.
You know,
So
what we'll do next time too, I'm thinking, DC, is when with all this coupler information, maybe you could put a list together similar to what you did today. We could do that.
Okay,
This
but
way
I'm
you
not
guys got it
familiar.
all in one document.
Yeah, okay. But I'm not familiar with what George is going to tell us,
Yeah.
showing us.
Nobody's hurt.
George, you're on
Oh.
mute.
Oops. Okay, so this is what you get. It's 4 of these pocket couplers,
I see.
and they're Lincoln pin style. Hopefully you guys can see that clear enough.
Yep.
They just fit into the KD number 5 pocket. And then you get, I gotta trying to pick it up with my fat fingers here.
Do we need to go up there?
Those are plastic, right, George?
These are plastic, yes.
Cool.
And then the pins,
Okay.
the pins are just are like brass metal here. And they actually have a really cool
Interesting.
top on them.
Interesting pin.
And oops, almost dropped it. And then, well, I don't know how well we're gonna be able to see this, but here's his links.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're just really small and they fit in the pocket. And so on the edge of this Bachmann car here, I mean, my complaint is it sticks out very far,
Right.
but it'll at least get you something, that, especially in like some of the box cars, maybe you recess the coupler pocket, but this makes it nice and easy for if you're doing a kit bash rather than trying to fabricate a way to mount. You can just mount this in a KD box car and just set it farther back into the body of the car.
Does that coupler pocket move to the left and right, or is that
Yes.
fixed? It does. See, that's a good advantage, because when these things go around tight turns, you want to have that mobility, and the fact that it sticks out a little bit might not be a bad thing if you have tight curves.
Right. But I found these by accident somewhere. And when I found out it was a retailer, I said, oh, hell, I called him up. And then he got all nervous because we also have Blackstone models. So he thought I was buying them to copy it. And I said, no, I don't care about that. So, but there was something interesting. There's a Facebook group called Pre-1895 Railroading. I'm sure some of you guys are on it. And a few weeks ago, somebody posted a picture of a hinged Lincoln pin on the back of the coupler of the tender.
What?
So I scratch built one.
Oh, wow. Let me see.
So
I like it.
So that's-
Holy mackerel.
so that hinges up and down.
Huh.
Crap.
I
That gives
like
you
it.
so much, because I'm not as anal as DC in the sense that, in a good way, but you are good with this. He uses the NMR gauge for the coupler heights. I just put them in, and then I make my own S links, because they did have S links during the Civil War. But that's
Okay.
certainly, that goes a long way to help expedite hooking a coupler into your tender, and it gives you all the height possibilities you could possibly want. That's brilliant.
That was a pain in the ass though, because I took a Bachmann coupler and cut the head off. And then I took a piece of styrene and sanded it until it went around, drilled a hole through all 3, and then just put a pin through it,
Right.
cut it and glued it. And so that's my hinge.
Right. Yeah, Charlie?
Yeah, I maybe everybody knows about it, but I use the HO track laying nails, the old Atlas track laying nails for my pins. And, you know, I've got a little magnetic wand, and you don't have to use tweezers. I mean, you can lower the pin in the hole and then slide the wand away. It's not that bad. I mean, it's really pretty easy.
You and Bernie do that, and I think Don Ball does that too, doesn't he?
But I mean, those little nails that we use, it looks like they would fit through the holes that George is showing us in those pockets.
Oh yeah, they would. Like I said, he just makes these fancy ones, and I actually hadn't really tried to find out if they're magnetic or not. Honestly, I hadn't really played them. That car I showed you was the first one that actually got the couplers.
Right.
This is the first one that actually got it, and I kind of stalled a little bit on the project because of the bullnose. I started looking more into this and was like, well, now I have an answer with that roof that DC was talking about. Yeah, there you go. There's the link to the Lincoln pin couplers. So if you talk to Brandon over there at Prescott Hobbies, just let him know I told you about it.
Hey guys, if you look on your chat, Mac just sent us the link.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mac. Wow, I got to check that out. Prescott. I never heard of this pre-18 whatever it was group either. DC evidently knows about them.
Yeah.
If you could put that link up again, I'd appreciate it.
It's in your chat. If you click
Links?
chat on the
Yeah,
bottom,
the Prescott one.
do you see it in there, Tom,
Should be on the bottom of your screen.
or over to the right
Yeah.
where the chats are?
And I don't have it on my screen, but
Okay.
that's
Okay.
all right.
I've got mine. I go to the bottom of the screen, and there's some, when I go all the way down with my cursor, a bar pops up and it says participants, chat, share screen.
Ah, okay, there it is.
And if you click on chat, then I get a bar pops up on my right.
Yeah, I clicked on the chat and got it.
Okay,
Good.
great.
Here, real quick, I'll show you the picture of the prototype of that hinged coupler that I did.
Oh, are you kidding me? Where is that photo?
Like I said, I found that on that pre-1895 modeling group on Facebook.
I missed it.
But I saw that and said, well, that'll solve a whole lot of problems because I could make that. And so several versions later, I made one.
Do you know what
If-
year that photo was taken by any chance?
I can probably find and see if somebody documented it, but I just saved the photo and it doesn't have any information.
I've never, that is remarkable, because I thought he was
there's
just,
the whole picture.
wow.
If you look closely, you'll see that there are actually two pockets on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So you can raise and lower it. Heck, it would be so versatile.
I tell you, the only downside to all you guys is you're actually making more work for me. Jesus. That's great.
Also, Tom, I'll send that email. I'll email that picture to you, and then if you can share it to the group.
Be glad
And I'll
to.
see if I can find a date before I do that, though. I got to go back and find the post.
Thank you. So, okay, it's 12:33. Any Daryl?
I was going to say, before we go, I just ran across this week it's actually a little bit post-Civil War, but it's a video on YouTube, how Knoxville became a railroad town. It carries a little bit of the history of Knoxville, the coming of the railroad, some of the Civil War pictures, maps of the early city and all such as that, has some drawings. I actually saw a drawing of, I guess, the rail yard in Knoxville, and has an East Tennessee, Virginia, and Georgia boxcar.
Daryl, did you say it was Knoxville or Nashville?
Knoxville.
And the title of it again?
How Knoxville became a railroad town.
Wow, thank you. Oh, that's great.
You know, just might be something you guys might like to look at. And what really caught me was the East Tennessee, Virginia, and Georgia is post-Civil War. That was a merger of the two lines pre-Civil War. But anyway, I I had the lettering on this boxcar, and again, this is a drawing, but some of the other boxcars don't have the huge lettering. We're talking about lettering that ran the length, the height to the bottom, the top to the bottom of the boxcar, ETVG. And I mean, I've never seen lettering that big. Now, like I say, this is a drawing. Maybe the guy took a little bit of artistic license, but he didn't with other box cars. So that's what made me wonder.
Wow.
And I thought, especially people that are into Southern Road, you probably interchange with East Tennessee and Georgia. So
I
just thought
do.
it might be something you might like to check out. And maybe again, if you're interested in history, maybe some of the others.
It's interesting that you
might
say
like
that because I have very large letters on my East Tennessee and Georgia cars. And I think that's because I saw something similar to that. And I thought, okay, that's plausible. That's the beauty of this. You know, there's so much plausibility.
I had never seen lettering that huge
big.
on a, you
Yeah.
know, that big, yes, on a, you know, and so when I saw that, I said, next time I'm with the group, I'm going to mention that in case some of them would like to check that out.
Thank you, buddy.
So
There's a disgruntled employee. The boss kept saying, no, make them bigger, make them bigger.
I'll say this, if he'd have made them any bigger, he'd have run out of boxcars.
You continue on the roof. Hey, George, got another question.
Mhm.
And for the second engine, no. Have you tried those couplers in a Mantua car by any chance, or just the Bachmann?
No,
Okay.
just the one right now, because that's all I
Okay.
have. I mean,
Okay.
to be perfectly frank with you, other than that Texas that I showed you guys a few weeks ago and just now, I haven't really dabbled that much into that early rail freight cars yet.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm collecting everything and just kind of, and once I get a locomotive running, then I'm going to start getting some passenger cars finished up and some box cars and so forth, just something to run together. But as of right now, I don't know if you noticed the end platforms are gone because I'm hand bending them brass and replacing them.
Cool.
So
Good. All right, my friends. I think this is a good time to end, and just another great seminar of sorts with all of you. And would you guys, by any chance, want to reconnect next week?
Next week or the week after?
I was just say 2 weeks.
2 weeks, rather. 2 weeks. Yeah.
I was going to say next week is Valentine's weekend.
No, 2 weeks. Every other. Yeah, good. Thank you for that, man. I would have been a basket case if it was next.
I need a break.
Yeah, right. We got our main meet coming up Thursday. Yeah, Jesus.
Well, we keep coming up with projects for research for.
I know, like DC said, we got the next 5 meets scheduled. All right, gentlemen, thanks. Have a great weekend. Thanks for all your contributions and participation.
George, if you got
See
one
if you
minute,
can put up the link on the website, I'd appreciate that for the list that you had.
Is that DC for DC, that car list?
Yeah, where all the stuff's available.
Yeah, you can send it to me. I could do it next week, or by all means, feel free to post it on the site.
Yeah, post it on the site.
all right.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's I'm beating my way through the website trying to follow everything on the computer. So any notes you can put up or notifications of new meetings, I'm on it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Take care, all.
Thank you
Yeah,
all. Have a
thanks,
good,
guys.
have a good
Take
week.
care.
See ya. Bye.